Celia Faye Meisel here. I'm here to talk about leading and being a leader in your business and with your team so that you can drive more sales and increase your sales results. This is a topic that's really near to my heart, and it's been coming up a lot lately in my podcast and show interviews for More Influence and Impact, and also with my clients. And the reason that I think this comes up is with any business owner, when you're stepping into that scale mode and you're hitting that next level in your business, or you're going for that next level of revenue and income, a lot of the broken parts of your business are going to start to expose themselves. And it can be hard when a lot of things come crashing down at once. Say you're challenged with your marketing and the marketplace and different things that are happening in the world. And at the same time, you are, you're dealing with team challenges, and maybe you have some health things that come up, and you have some personal stuff that comes up, because we have a life outside of our businesses, and our lives do impact how we show up and how we perform in our businesses. And so when those things, a bunch of challenges come up at once, it can definitely feel intense and intimidating, and you might not know how to really show up and lead. And so you start to question yourself, and maybe you start to kind of fall back on old habits, or you start to doubt yourself and you start to rely on your team more. You start to abdicate responsibility, abdicate decision making, because there's a difference between abdication and delegation. I learned this from one of my very early actual spiritual energetic trainers that I worked with, where I'm delegating and I'm handing something over to someone, a task that I might do myself. And I'm saying, hey, I'm delegating you to do this. I'm delegating this responsibility. I want you to take care of it. Whereas an abdication is like, I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to look at it. Here, just do it and get it off my plate. And the problem with the abdication of responsibility is you start to put on blinders. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do it. And I got into a habit of going into more of an abdication mode. I don't want to think about it when I was getting a lot of business training from a mentor. This was like 2020, 2021, who was like, oh, bring on experts and bring on different people, and just like get out, stay in your zone of genius and only bring on team members that that can do the thing that you want done, so you can scale and you can grow faster. And while like that training was really good, what happened in my brain was I started to step back in this, like, I don't want to think about it, I don't care, I'm too busy, I don't want to look at it, I don't want to touch it. And my business wasn't quite ready for that. And the thing was is that I didn't have like full-time employees doing it. So it was like I was doing things myself still, running a lot of areas of my business myself, and then I was bringing on contractors and different experts to help me. And so the abdication and delegation conversation is something that you really want to look at. Like, are you putting on blinders and, getting things off your plate and then just not looking at it? And then when the results aren't happening the way that you want, you're coming back and saying, oh my gosh, like this isn't going the way that I think it should. You're not showing up. This thing isn't performing how I should, how I think it should. So that can definitely be like an operations problem as well, where you don't have the KPIs and the data and the systems in place for you to really look inside of your business and have that bird's eye view of what's happening on a day-to-day level. So you're in more reaction mode. And so that reaction mode is then, now I'm going to go back and now I'm going to like, address my team and address my contractors and figure out what's going on. And so there's always this back and forth with you reacting to what's happening in your business, because you're not really leading from this empowered place of taking full responsibility and setting the tone. And so as the leader and as the visionary entrepreneur CEO, it's literally like your vision that got the business to where it is, and your vision that's going to continue to scale it. And then it's you making the right decisions with the hires and the different people that you bring on to help you with that next level decision making and to like address things in real time. And so thinking that you're just going to hire everyone and they're just going to come on and immediately like get the culture and get the thing and get the vibe without like you training them and educating them and supporting them to get to that level, it's actually like wishful thinking. And so you really look at like, where am I investing in the culture of my team? How am I showing everybody how to come together, how to troubleshoot, how to build that support mechanism and that support system and that communication and that accountability inside of the business, and how am I getting myself out from like being the bottleneck and being the person that everybody has to go to for information. And when you start to look at, I want my company to like be able to stand on its own, and I don't want to be the bottleneck and I want to be the leader, you start to have a different internal dialogue with yourself, and you start to make different decisions with like how you start to move forward and advance forward. And so this is something that I love to really explore with my clients to help them to see, like, how is your leadership affecting your sales? Because if you're leading your team in a way that isn't in alignment with your vision, you can lead them in a way that is in alignment with your vision. And you don't have to have it all figured out perfect. And you don't have to have it, like cookie cutter and like go join a program and all of that, like get coached on it. Like, of course you want to get coached, but I'm saying like, you don't have to like go and just go overboard with this. It's like subtle moves in a new direction make such a huge difference. And when you're training your team, like you're always training them. Like with my team, I was just talking about this on an interview today with More Influence and Impact. I was talking about how like with my team, I train them as we go. And so whenever we have a new project come on, I bring my team on and like we build SOPs together. So I like to have A to Z SOPs in my business and systemize things and create all the tasks. And then once we get to a point where we like have our task and our project management, then we start to build the SOP. So I'll actually use like the task management to create the process. And that's a natural gift of mine, that integrator operator side of my being. And I know not everybody is like this, but even if you're a visionary, this is something that you can really look at, is like when you're in your meetings with your integrator, are you like going through the SOP and the process together and like really looking at it and making sure that they have what they need and they're asking you for what they need? And so there's this conversation happening. And the thing is like with leading your team, it's never one and done. I mean, with my primary assistant right now, like we're getting on meetings every week. We're looking at the processes. I'm evaluating and I'm optimizing. I'm seeing where things are falling through the cracks. And so we may address the same thing. There is actually something that we have had a conversation about like 3 or 4 times where like different mistakes will happen. And so I'll come in and say, hey, I'm noticing this and I'm noticing this. And I'll give her that chance to like really reflect on her performance and just, hey, this is where I'm seeing like the mistakes happen. How can we optimize in the process? How can we have better communication? So there is creating this environment of like always optimizing, always improving, so that as the leader and the CEO, like I'm really setting her up for success, but I'm also setting myself up for success in the business, so that one day if she leaves or she's not there anymore, we have processes in place and the communication is there in place where it's like clear and it's streamlined, and somebody else could step in and take it over. Or if she moves up to the next level, that she can train somebody A to Z on what needs to be done. So I definitely look at leadership from like that process standpoint and like how I want my company to be run, and that vision, and that it's a day by day, step by step thing. And so no one is going to come up and just be 100% perfect all the time. There is that learning curve, but if you expect them to just be perfect and not lead them, it's going to be very difficult for them to ever be successful inside of your team and inside of your company. And how does this apply to sales? Well, it comes down to you freeing up more capacity for revenue generating activities. And if your team has their SOPs and they have their processes that they can run with, and there's communication standards for when to come to you and when not to come to you, and who, maybe there's a chain of command. My husband and I right now, we're watching a show on Hulu, which was originally on FX, called The Bear. And it's about this chef who takes over his brother's business, and he brings on a sous chef, and how he wants to set up this kind of like hierarchical system that's based on like a French model. And the woman who's implementing it inside of the restaurant, she's a little intimidated, and she's like, I don't think this is the right thing. And so it's really great to hear like how they interact. And she talks to him and gives him feedback like, hey, I'm supposed to be your right hand, but you're not listening to my ideas. And, there's this interaction, and there's kind of this back and forth give and take. And I think it's really valuable for entrepreneurs to also see that. And one of the things in my team members when I hire is saying, hey, I want somebody who has a voice. I don't want somebody who I'm just going to give you tasks and you're just going to go do them and head down and I have to go do it. And I feel like with online business, it's really kind of easy to get into that kind of siloed support. Like I just do my thing and I keep my head down and I go about it. And and if it's good, okay. And if it's not good, like maybe you let me know. And so as the business owner, keeping that ongoing dialogue and the feedback with it always is how things get optimized, and it's how things get optimized in alignment with your vision. And so when you come down to like you're improving the processes and things are running more smoothly in your company, you're able to like look at the marketing and the sales and bring on expertise and help and support with that as well. And so it's just like a whole paradigm shift. But I'm telling you that like leadership and really like stepping into your visionary power of leading the company and not being at the mercy of your contractors and not being at the mercy of your consultants and who you bring on, like your agencies you hire and things like that. Like if you feel like you're at their mercy, you will be, right? And if they push back, they push back. But it's the same thing with sales. Like you just have to show up and you have to make the ask and you have to go for it and you have to be uncomfortable in order to grow to the next level. And the same thing goes with your leadership in your company. You have to keep showing up and you have to say the things and speak up that maybe you're not comfortable to do, but ultimately it's what's going to help you grow the most. And I don't even think about it always as a like get out of your comfort zone. I don't do like mindset work in that traditional way. I used to do a lot of self-development. I did like hours a day of self-development, and it kind of kept me on like a hamster wheel. And so I have stepped into a paradigm in a space now where it's like I am totally tapped into being the creator of my life and my reality and my business. And literally, like just when I shift and I see this new opening, I just start to think differently and behave differently and operate differently. And so I'm not in that like kind of that dualistic world. Now, this is more advanced level spiritual teaching. But I just want to say that because this isn't a mindset thing, because when you act from, well, I'm a crappy leader and now I'm going to be a good leader, you basically are creating that off the backbone of being a crappy leader. And so you can easily like snap back to that kind of those bad habits and those ways of operating that aren't in alignment like with your highest potential. And so that's why I'm leading with vision. Like, what is your vision, and what vision do you have that's like beyond your mind? This vision that's like greater than you, that's like breathing you and living through you and expressing through you, like the energy of the divine mind of the universe, of God, that is expressing itself through you And how is that coming through in how you show up in your business? Because that is beyond mind, that is beyond ego, that is beyond like the limitation of your human self. And when you really tap into that, like you become an unstoppable leader because you're not operating inside of those polarities and inside of those dualities. And there is very much like this component of like leadership and team and hiring and all of that stuff, and you can be driving it from this higher level of leadership and just free up a lot of energy to sell, a lot of energy to market. And one of my favorite things is like being in that space of like, I don't always have to be on and I don't always have to be posting and doing my things on the computer in order to attract in the results that I want. And so you have this amazing power of magnetism. And if you've created a brand and you have a list and you have a lot of mechanisms already in place and you have a proven offer, like you already have all of the ingredients to be super, super successful. It's really you stepping into that next level of like, what is my vision? What is calling me? What has been calling me? Where am I holding back? And just fully plunging into that. It's so powerful and it's beyond anything like that your mind can even conceive. Like the things that are happening in my business and the growth and the way that things are coming to me now is like so much more effortless and streamlined and beautiful than I ever could have imagined with my ego. And this is the kind of leadership that like we're really called into in 2023 and beyond with our businesses. There's just so much opportunity and so many people that need your work and need what you have to offer. And if you just shift out of whatever it is that's keeping you stuck and small and say yes to your calling and yes to your truth and yes to what is calling out to you, like things are going to shift immensely for you. I just these are my words and this is truth. I mean, this is you could even say prophecy. If like you're hearing this message and I'm speaking this into you because this is a message for you. Not everybody on this planet is going to listen to this message. So really tune into that vibration of there is a power that you have available to you, and an opportunity that you have that is far greater than what you're seeing for yourself. And there is a leader inside of you that wants to come out, and you're just saying, well, everybody sees me as this way. And I have this story that I tell myself all the time, like, don't rewrite your story. Don't do EFT tapping. Don't do any of that stuff. Just start to embody and step into this new level that's calling to you. Because especially if you're going through a lot of challenges, it means that amazing things are about to open up for you. And they already are opened up. You're just not seeing it. All right. So if you want my free training on 3 things that you can do to increase your sales immediately without more ad spend, that link is here in my name, but it's moremethod.com/3-things. And let me know in the comments what your top takeaway was. I will see you